the head football coach at USC, one of the favorites around the country in college football. Lane Kiffin joins us here on the new Sentinel Sports page. Lane, hey, it's Vince Ferrara and Mike Strange. Good to talk to you again, Lane. How you doing?
Great, Vince. How you doing, Mike?
Good.
Coach, first, how's former Vol T. Martin doing on your staff there in Los Angeles?
He's doing great. He's made an immediate impact. We had heard great things about him, had a great interview process with him, and had a feeling he'd really fit in, but he's exceeded even our expectations. He's come in. He's got probably the two best receivers in the country that he's coaching, and he's taking them to the next level, and his impact around the country, especially in the South, has been felt in recruiting, so we're excited as could be to have him and Toy out here.
Lane, did you have any relationship at all with T, during your time here in Knoxville, or was this just, starting fresh, this interview process out there with him?
Just a little bit. I'd run into him twice on the recruiting road in high schools, and I just watched his presence and how he went about things and the way that he was working. I was very impressed with him. And when we had an opportunity this time around, and there was interest on his side, we got to sit down a lot longer, and just completely impressed with him from A to Z. I think he's not only is he a great assistant coach for us right now, I think he's going to be a great head coach someday too.
Joined by USC head coach Lane Kiffin here on the new Sentinel Sports page, Vince Ferrara and Mike Strange. Coach, a lot of discussion has been out there about Silas Red joining your team. And for people that may have missed it, if you could, take our listeners through the process of when you first discussed your interest in Silas Red from Penn State, how you went about it, and how it ended up that Silas is a member of your football team.
Well, before the sanctions had come down against Penn State, we had gotten word that they may include a bowl ban. So we had studied their roster and seen if there's anybody that would fit our needs and somebody that could come in here and fit in to help us. And really, Silas was the only guy that we felt could help us win. And so we researched it and kind of had reached out to people around him, not him himself, and had gotten the word back that he'd be very interested in USC, that he was going to either stay there or come to USC. It was the only school he talked to. So after talking to his dad about that, then the NCAA went above and beyond and actually pulled some other restrictions of off-campus recruiting for the first time. Normally you can't go see the kids on a situation like this. So we were on vacation, and luckily one of our great donors, just like the ones there in Tennessee, got us a plane. All of a sudden we were in White Plains, New York, and we were at a Dunkin' Donuts, about 6 of our coaches, 2 that were on vacation in other parts of the country. And we tried to get T. Martin, but he was on a cruise with his wife, and his cell phone wouldn't work, so we couldn't get him. But we had the rest of the guys in there and had a great visit, early morning visit with Silas and his family. And the next thing you know, they were on a plane out here to come visit for a 48-hour visit, and really enjoyed the experience and fit in really well with our players. It was something that we knew he was a really good player, but if he had a big ego, it wasn't going to work out to come fit in into this team culture of these guys. So luckily it worked out.
Speaking of working out, your first 2 years there at Southern Cal, things appear to be working out really well based on what you guys have been through and the place you've gotten the program to right now going into this season. To look back at Tennessee just a little bit, Lane, what would you say, what do you take away from that year in Knoxville as far as your evolution as a head coach?
Well, I think, the first time of being a college head coach, I look back and made a lot of mistakes, and I think if anything, if you're going to be good, you better examine what you're doing and find a better way to do it. So I'm sure I know I made a bunch of rookie mistakes, and as I look back, I try not to make those again and again and try to find better ways to do anything each time, just as I would have if I were still there.
One of the guys that you recruited to Tennessee, Tyler Bray, you've spotted him out in California. He was an early enrollee. What did you see in him then, and have you been able to, I know you're busy, but have you been able to watch his development to the point where he is now? Yeah,
first off, with the recruitment of him, just really saw a big, strong-arm kid with great accuracy for that size, and really, he only had 2 scholarship offers. He was committed to San Diego State and Tennessee. Those were his only 2 offers, and so luckily we went on him, and he ended up coming there as a mid-year, as you guys know the story. And I've caught a few clips of him, and prior to his injury, just phenomenal red zone accuracy. so many great throws to those great receivers. He is a great player and is going to be a great player. And it's exciting to see him play that well.
Lane Kiffin, USC head football coach, joining us here on the News Sentinel Sports Page Summer of Football. Vince Ferrara and Mike Strange. You have a pretty good quarterback yourself there at USC and Matt Barkley. I know that was an important decision for him and really changes, I think, a lot of people's perception of your team with him back, as you well know. What was your advice to Matt and when he was weighing that decision, Coach?
Well, I thought Matt should go. I thought he was completely ready to be a franchise quarterback, the face of a franchise and handle everything that goes with it. And he decided to stay. Wanted to do something different and do something special. And it's just a pretty neat story. He comes here at SC at its highest. They played in 7 straight BCS games, 6-1 in those games, and then obviously, everything hits. And he's got a new AD, a new president, a new head coach, and 2 years of a bowl ban, probably the bottom of SC football. And everybody's saying SC's over for 10 years, almost a death penalty. So to see him bring us out of that to where we are now and then stay to come back, as he says, with unfinished business, speaks a lot about Matt and about his parents as well.
How are you and the team, how have you embraced all those expectations with him being back and as talented and as much success as you have had? How are you embracing all of the expectations and the belief in this football team here in 2012?
Well, it goes back to work. It goes back to the preparation and everything that we do every day, and not about the hype around it, not about where you are in some magazine or polls or how many All-Americans. None of that means anything. That has nothing to do with how you're going to win on Saturdays. That'll be about our preparation here in camp. And so I think our players have done well so far when it comes to that. And fortunately, we were here before, so I think we have a good idea how to manage the hype. Last time we were here, we played in 3 straight national championships. So, we kind of revert back to some of that.
Lane, speaking of that era, you were there when SC was at the top of its game. You know what good looks like, and you know what good SC looks like. When you hear people discussing, can the SEC win a 7th straight national championship, Southern Cal is one of the teams that, generally is thrown into the conversation that can break that up. Based on your experience of evaluating SC and being there, does this look like a team to you that's that good, that has that capability?
Well, the only way I can really do that is kind of look back to when, winning 34 straight games here before. And we have frontliners like we did back then. I think if you take our top 22, but we're not as deep as we were. Part of that's obviously the sanctions, and we can only we only have 75 compared to 85. So I don't think we're as deep as we used to be. So the SEC is still the best league and has the best teams. And until somebody does something about that, I don't know how anybody can argue that.
Lane Kiffin joining us here on the News Sentinel Sports Page. Coach, you've already lost senior defensive end Devon Kennard. What's his status, and could he come back this year? And who else is competing at that DN spot for you?
There's a potential Wes could come back, and that was a big loss for us. Our other defensive end went in the first round, and Nick Perry last year left early. So we do not have much experience there. A kid named Greg Townsend is there right now, and J.R. Devay. Neither has played very much at all. So defensive line now is our number one concern. It was running back in defensive line, but with Silas coming in, we feel a lot better there. So we have a lot of focus on our defensive line and improving there.
Is Audrey Walker your guy at left tackle?
I think so. He's lost 70 pounds since he got here a year ago and really is developing in the program. Now he hasn't played there. He's been a right side player his whole life, so there is some transition there, and we're going to have to make sure that we're helping him early on as he gains some confidence, because obviously that's Matt Barkley's backside.
Lane, the restrictions and sanctions you mentioned earlier, I mean, that was just a couple of years ago, and you're still feeling them, and yet we're having this conversation where you're mentioned as, a top 5 team and possible contender for a national championship. What does that speak to about the resources that Southern Cal has, whatever they might be? What factors would allow such a quick comeback?
Well, I think that is USC. I don't think another school could have what was dealt, with all the scholarships and the bowl games, and then those guys juniors and seniors being able to transfer. I mean, You're seeing what's going on at the other place. I think SC, because of the private school, because of how many kids there are in Southern California, that I think that these kids still came here. We've got All-Americans that came here knowing they weren't going to bowl games. I think that really is the power of SC, and it's why I consider it to be the best job in America, and what it's done, for decades.
Lane Kiffin joining us here on the New Sentinel Sports Page. Coach, talk about your wide receivers. You mentioned Robert Woods, Marquise Lee. Just how good are those guys, and talk about your depth behind them as well.
Yeah, they are great players. You almost forget, they just finished their true freshman and true sophomore season. Robert Woods, 111 catches, just shattered the conference record, and he should have had 2 more games, with the conference championship and a bowl game. So, and Marquise Lee may be better than him. He was at the end of the season. So if we could get Robert fully healthy, it'd be pretty special. We do have a true freshman out of Tampa, Florida, Nelson Aguilar, who's here backing him up. And then George Farmer was a great player out of high school that has had some injury issues. So just kind of like the theme of our whole team, we've got great frontline players, but we've got to develop our depth.
You certainly recruit nationally, including the Southeast with T. Martin. Have you noticed, or as collectively as a staff, the talent in the state of Tennessee? Is that improving? Do you see that?
Well, you guys know I can't talk about individuals in recruiting, but we had some success in the area, around Tennessee over the last couple of years. But there sure has seemed to be some star players coming out of the area in general as of late. I think everybody knows you're not going to have 20, 25, major Division I players, but there has been some stars coming out of late.
Lane, one more question about Tennessee and getting out here. I know you've moved on. You're at the job you consider to be the best college job in America. If circumstances had not worked out as they did, where that job came open and was a job you had ties to and considered to be such a great job, do you see that you could still have been here at Tennessee going into your, 4th year now?
If they would have me, I definitely do. I didn't see myself leaving there for any other job. This was a very unique job, a place that we had a background in for years, and the kids being born out here and everything. So it was a very unique circumstance, and one that I was very open with throughout the process with Mike Hamilton. Otherwise, we'd still be there if you'd have us, and we'd love being there. And I think we'd be doing some great things.
One of the favorites in college football in 2012, the USC Trojans. USC hosting Hawaii September 1st to kick off the season. Coach, always great to visit with you. Really appreciate your time, as always. Have a great season.
All right, guys, anytime. Have a great week.
Thank you. You too.
Bye, Lane.
Lane Kiffin here on the New Sentinel Sports Page.